All 98 cards from Glory of Team Rocket have officially been revealed, and this set might be the biggest shakeup we've seen in the Pokémon TCG all year. We're not just getting nostalgic callbacks to previous Team Rocket sets and some edgy artwork, though don't get me wrong, there's plenty of that, but this set also includes cards that are already looking like staples for competitive decks, allowing you to counter top tier engines in the format. I'm looking at you, Noctowl. Yeah, I see you. Plus, Team Rocket fans, you're going to be eating good as Giovanni and his crew are back, and the level of support that they're getting in the set is kinda crazy. Team Rocket as an archetype is looking like it has potential top tier threats, with multiple decks that are ready to catch opponents off guard with their explosive potential. And in this video, I'll be going through every single card in the set, breaking down what's meta relevant, what you should be watching out for on your rogue radar, and what's likely just going to be heading straight to your bulk bin. So if you want to stay one step ahead of the meta, make sure to hit that subscribe button and drop a like. Now let's dive into the glory of Team Rocket and see just how much trouble this crew is really cooking up. Now we're going to be starting it off, obviously goes in order of the card numbers, starts with the grass type Pokemon. We're seeing a Pineco, unfortunately not seeing the Fortress with it. It is going to be a steel type, so they're not going to be sequentially next to each other. Pinecone though, 10 damage for 1 colorless energy. It's probably going in your bulk, I'll be honest. The Fortress also not trying to spoil anything, but it's nothing too crazy. We're seeing a Shroomish line in here. Shroomish. As the attack Rolling Tackle, 2 colorless energy, 30 damage, evolves up into Breloom, which has the attack Damage Rush, does a base damage of 30, then you're going to flip a coin until you get tails, and it does 50 more damage for each heads. So potentially you could be hitting infinite numbers with this, right? Like you could be one-shotting anything in the format, or you might just be doing 30 damage. 2 colorless energy to get it going though. There isn't really a way to pay for this in just one attachment anymore. Double turbo energy has rotated unfortunately, and we haven't gotten a replacement, but you could use something like Crispin. It gets an energy onto this attached for turn. There's ways to make it work. Unfortunately, there isn't ways to reflip coins currently in the format, so I think this is more so just a little bit of shenanigans. Maybe you play it in pre-release, but that's probably it. We're getting Mow Rotom though, has the attack Reaping Mower, 20 damage for 1 grass energy, then you discard a stadium card that's in play. Could be useful if you need a little bit of stadium removal. Second attack on here though, double colorless energy, so same thing kind of applies to this, maybe a Crispin to get it going, or like Ogerpon E-Switch. You're going to do a multiplier of 30 damage with this though for every Pokemon tool that's attached to one of your Pokemon in play. Unfortunately, we don't have any Pokemon, at least not that I can think of, that can stack multiple tools at the moment. We used to have Honchkrow V, which unfortunately rotated due to it being an F-block card, but you got Area Zero Underdepths. That in play with a Terra Pokemon, you can have 8 things on your bench, Rotom in the active. Let's say you put a maximum belt on the Rotom to increase its damage by 50 and counts as a tool. 8 guys on your bench all have a tool. That's what, 9 times 3, 270 plus the 50 from max belt. You can technically get up to 320, which is it's Dragapult slaying numbers, not too bad. And since it is a grass type Pokemon, you could even play this with, name's escaping me. Lurantis? It's not Lurantis. There is a grass Pokemon we just got in Journey together that it's a stage 1, and for each one of them in play, boosts your grass Pokemon's damage by 20, or your fire type Pokemon. But if you had 4 of them on your bench, that's another 80 damage, so it potentially gets up to 400 damage with Mow Rotom. Like, as a rogue deck, I don't hate it. That could be kind of fun. We're getting a Fermantis. It's not Lurantis. Lurantis isn't the one that boosts damage. Oh, it's going to bug me. That's really going to bug me. Let me know in the comments down below if you can think of what the Pokemon's name is. But Fermantis, it's got grass energy, 20 damage to use Cut Up. Not too bad. You're going to evolve up into Lurantis. Colorless energy to do 30 damage, or grass energy to do 130 damage. You have to discard 2 grass energy from your hand though, and if you don't, the attack does nothing. That feels like a lot to do not that much. Again, it's probably one of those cards, maybe you play it in pre-release, and outside of that, I don't think this card's going to be relevant. It just doesn't hit hard enough, and asks for quite a bit. Team Rocket's first Pokemon we're going to see though is Team Rocket's Blipbug. Its attack costs 1 colorless energy. You're going to look at one of your opponent's face down prize cards. Okay. I guess it's not the worst thing to do. If you're using that attack though, it's probably getting knocked out immediately after, but you could technically use that for some insider information, I guess. It's going to evolve into Team Rocket's Tarantula. 30 damage for 1 grass energy. It also does 10 damage to itself. Wait, it doesn't evolve into that. I'm getting thrown off. Blipbug evolves into a different thing, but I think they've got it as a psychic type in this set. Wow, To a great start. But no, Tarantula is a basic Pokemon. It's going to evolve up into Spidop. So Grass Energy to do 30 damage, 10 damage to itself, 50 HP on here. It's a little scary to have this being damaged. And then if your opponent's playing Dragapult, they can easily pick this apart off your bench. But it evolves up into Team Rocket's Spidops, which is a pretty cool Pokemon, to be honest. The ability on here is Charge Up. Once during your turn, you can attach a basic energy from your discard pile to this Pokemon. So great means of energy acceleration to itself. You've still got your attachment for turn, Grass and a Colorless energy to use the attack. That's a nice ability to have, pay for this attack in one go. And then you're going to do 30 damage for each of your Team Rocket Pokemon in play. So if Area 0 Underdepths is in play, you can have 8 things on your bench. Unfortunately, there's no Terra Team Rocket Pokemon that I can think of at least. So you'd have to have something just sitting on your bench to let you get 7 other Team Rocket Pokemon in play. Spidops in the active, that's 8. So 8 times 3 gets you to 240. It's not a bad number to hit. You're half hitting into most stage 2 Pokemon. Charizard though, being Grass Weak, you're one-shotting that, so that's nice. And then basic EXs you are able to one-shot. So you'd be able to take out like a Raging Bolt EX with this, which is pretty cool, or potentially a Terrapagos EX as long as they don't have a Bouffalant in play. So not a bad show. And the energy acceleration though, I feel like is the main selling point for this, because there's a Mewtwo that I think this will pair very, very nicely with, but we'll get to that in a little bit. We're getting a Smoliv in this deck, or in this set too. It looks like it's claymation. I like that. I love when they do that kind of art style. I'm gonna pick some of those up for the collection, but in terms of playability, 60 HP, Colorless Energy, do 10 damage. It's fine. It's in here to evolve. Dolive has Grass Energy to heal 40 damage from one of your Pokemon. You're probably going to be rare candying over this if you're playing it at all. And then Arboliva EX, it has the attack Oil Machine Gun. It's a little violent. But Oil Machine Gun, you choose one of your opponent's Pokemon 6 times, then do 20 damage to it. So you can kind of just like be pinging random things on their bench or hitting the same thing repeatedly. That's interesting. If they've got multiple pre-evolutions on their bench, you could just kind of be picking them apart. So yeah, don't hate that. Gets you up to 120 damage total, or potentially 60 to 2 different things. So yeah. Or you can be using Aroma Shot, doing 160 damage for 3 Colorless Energy, and then recovering from all special conditions. So if you're like poisoned or confused and you happen to flip heads through this, you can get rid of that, which is all right, I guess. 310 HP on this is not super bulky for a stage 2, and the attacks both feel kind of mid for being on a stage 2. Like the first attack, I guess picking apart pre-evolutions isn't bad, but most pre-evolutions have 70 HP. So you're committing 80 damage of that to one of them and then 40 to something else, unless you play like a Hawlucha, ping 2 things with 10 and then do 60-60. Yeah, not a bad shout. We are getting a Shaman though in Destined Rivals that will be protecting non-rulebox Pokemon, so pre-evolutions would be included in that. So if this starts seeing play, Shaman just starts seeing play and it counters it. So I don't know, I feel like this is just going to be bulk. Very cool artwork though, and I like the Arboliva line, but yeah, I don't really think it's playable. We're getting a new Growlithe, Live Cold, 10 damage for Fire Energy, Dig Claws, double Colorless for 20, evolves up into Arcanine, Flare, 50 damage for double Colorless, or Punishing Fangs doing 100 base damage. Then if your opponent's active Pokemon is a Dark Pokemon, does 100 more. So 200 damage into a Dark type. It's okay. You're half hitting a Charizard. You're not even one-shotting basic EX Dark Pokemon. I don't think this is relevant, I'll be honest. Cool artwork though. I like Arcanine as a Pokemon. I like that card, so I'll probably pick one up for my collection. But yeah, that's got both been written on it. I'm sorry. Moltres EX though, another Team Rocket Pokemon here, has the attack Flame Screen, doing 110 damage. Then during your opponent's next turn, this Pokemon takes 50 less damage from attacks, giving it some tanking potential. It's a basic Pokemon too, so you could give this like a Bravery Charm, getting it 270 HP, then taking 50 less damage, effectively giving it 320 all up. Yeah, not a bad call. The second attack on here though, Fire, triple Colorless. You're going to discard a Team Rocket energy from this Pokemon, and if you do, you discard your opponent's active Pokemon and all attached cards. You're not knocking them out, so you're not getting any prizes, but if they're like overcommitting resources into one thing to get it set up as like their main attacker, like maybe they go all in on, let's say, a Dragapult. They've got the Terra Crystal card attached to it. They've got an energy for turn on it. They don't have another backup attacker being established on their board, like no more Dreepies. Yeah, going Moltres, get that out of play, and then go into something else to start taking knockouts. It's kind of cool. It does need a lot to get it online though. Triple Colorless is a lot to pay for. We don't have Magma Basin, so it's not like you can be going Magma Basin, Crispin get an energy onto this and then attaching the Team Rocket energy to get it online in one turn. So you are going to be using multiple turns getting this charged up, or you have to like E-switch off other things that can accelerate energy like the Spidops. It does feel like a lot to commit to do not that much, but I could see this being like a one-off in Team Rocket decks just for the potential that it has to just like shut down your opponent if they do overcommit to something. Team Rocket's Houndour showing up. Fire energy to do 20 damage. Not bad. Evolves up into Houndoom. Fire energy, and then your opponent's active Pokemon is now burned and confused. Doesn't do any damage with it. I guess between turns it does 20 from the burn. It's an attack. Second attack on here though, doing 120 damage. Then you discard an energy from this Pokemon. The fact that that's on a stage 1, I don't know. It feels kind of weak. If it was 120 for 1 fire energy, discard an energy, all right. Needing 2 to get this online and like not even doing a big number, right? Like it's not even one-shotting into a mirror match. It's not even one-shotting most like bulky basic single prize Pokemon, right? They usually have 130, 140 HP too. So I don't know. I think Houndoom is unfortunately going to be going in the bulk bin. Very cool artwork on it though. I like it. We're getting another Torchic. Has Collect on here. So colorless energy, draw a card. Not a bad call, not a bad card, especially if you're going to be playing Blaziken EX. This is likely just going to become like the go-to evolution to be running it with. Has 70 HP, which means Dragapult can't be taking it out with counters on the bench unless they have other ways to manipulate damage onto it. So yeah, I like that. Definitely a good card to pick up. Evolves up into Combuskin. 20 damage for a colorless energy, or flip 2 coins and do 40 damage for each heads for a fire and a colorless. You're going to be rare candying up over this, so but there's an attack on there if you need it. And then a single prize Blaziken. So the Blaziken EX we mentioned, this just gives you a single prize Pokemon you can be running it with, and has actually pretty cool attacks. Heat Blast, 2 colorless energy to 70 damage, so it's a good way to get through something like a Mimikyu. Gives you a way to get through EX walls, which is handy. And the second attack, you're going to discard 2 energy from this Pokemon. You can do 120 to the active and 120 damage to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. I like that. I genuinely really like that. It's kind of like a boosted up Darmanitan or Radiant Greninja. Radiant Greninja having rotated though, but Darmanitan doing 90 to the active, 90 to something on the bench. This doing 120, 120. Nice, especially because you'd be playing this with Blaziken EX that can accelerate energy from the discard pile. So you're charging this up using its other evolution line. It's nice and easily repeat it, right? You take out 2 things, then it's just like, hey, Blaziken EX, reattach one of the energy I discarded, attach for turn, do it again. Yeah, it's pretty sick. Heat Rotom also showing up in the set. Fire energy, you're going to burn your opponent's active Pokemon. That's fine. And then double colorless energy seems to kind of be the theme for the Rotoms here. We saw the Mo one that had double colorless energy, do a 30 multiplier, and then this one having the same attack. So 30 damage for each Pokemon tool attached to all of your Pokemon. So it could be like a weakness box. Grass one obviously hitting into dark type Pokemon that are weak to grass, or potentially like fighting type Pokemon. And then Heat Rotom covering, yeah, like steel and some grass. So cool. Getting Team I was about to say Team Aquas. No, Team Rockets. No Team Aqua yet. Maybe they get a set in the future, and that could be cool. Maybe next year. Just saying, it'd be pretty sweet. But Team Rocket's Articuno has the ability Resistant Veil. You're going to prevent all effects of your opponent's Pokemon's attacks that are done to your basic Team Rocket Pokemon in play. So Dragapult trying to put damage counters out. Yep, that's an effect. It gets ignored. If they try to use Devolution TM, your basic Pokemon, so it would be doing nothing anyways, but Articuno would say, hey, just ignore that thing that already doesn't impact us. That's pretty cool. Or if they're trying to do like a status condition to your active Pokemon, if it is a basic, you just ignore it. So yeah, very, very interesting ability on there. The attack Dark Frost is going to cost you water, double colorless. It does 60 base damage. Then if this Pokemon has a Team Rocket energy attached to it, 60 more. So water energy to pay for the water energy, then Team Rocket's energy to pay for the double colorless. Not a bad shout. Could be helping you deal with like EX walls potentially, right? If you're going all in on something like Mewtwo EX, then you just go into Team Rocket's Articuno to kind of get through a Mimikyu. Interesting. I think it definitely has potential, mostly just to kind of give you protection against things like Dragapult for your pre-evolutions. Other than that, we'll see. We'll see. Definitely some potential there though. We're getting a new Clamperl line. So Clamperl has the attack Shell Press. Not sure why I put an H in there. Shell Press. There we go. It does 10 damage. Then during your opponent's next turn, this takes 10 less damage from attacks. It's fine. It basically gives it 70 HP. It evolves into Huntail or Gorebyce. So the Huntail, having the ability Diver Catch, whenever one of your water Pokemon is knocked out by damage from an attack from your opponent's Pokemon, you put all basic water energy attached to that Pokemon back into your hand instead of the discard pile. That's kind of spicy. So if you're like overcommitting energy to something, as an example, let's say Wailord, who has Hydro Pump, you put a bunch of energy onto that with Baxcalibur, it does a big number, your opponent knocks that out, normally that would go in the discard pile, you'd have to use Superior Energy Retrieval to get it back into your hand and re-accelerate out. Huntail just goes, no, back into my hand and re-accelerate it out. So I genuinely really like that. Very interesting card for formats like GLC as well that use a lot of Rain Dance cards. Very cool for formats like Budget Build Battles that Baxcalibur is pretty sick in, and honestly for Standard, yeah, it could be fine. We're also seeing the Gorebyce though, so the attack Crescendo Wave does a multiplier of 30 for each water energy attached to this Pokemon before doing damage. You may attach any number of basic water energy cards from your hand to this Pokemon. So you could literally just run this line and just be fine, right? So you're attaching all the energy onto Gorebyce, your opponent knocks it out, cool, it just goes right back into your hand, you go into it, like this bounces it back to your hand, you set up another Gorebyce, you do it again. You just need one water energy to use the attack, and then it just rushes all the energy to itself. So you don't even need Baxcalibur to run this deck, which is really cool. And if they go, hey, well, if I don't knock out that Huntail, all the energy goes back into your hand, and you do this next turn, like Gusting, they kill the Huntail, well, the energy's still in the Gorebyce, so you just have to reset up another Huntail and you're fine. So that's kind of spicy. Like as a rogue deck, I like that. I like that a lot. I'm looking over here. I've got two screens. I've got this over here and I've got this over here. So. Apologies. I just get to see a bigger picture if I look over here. Snover line. Light Punch for double colorless energy, 20 damage. Icicle for water double colorless, 50 damage. It's fine. It's here to evolve, right? It's going to go into Abomasnow. Triple colorless to do 90 damage, or triple water and a colorless to do 120 base damage. Then if this Pokemon has 2 or more grass energy attached to it, 120 more. So potentially 240 for 5 energy attached to it. Because you need 3 water and then 2 grass. Or I guess you could have 2 water, a luminous energy, and a grass. Because it would be counting as a grass and a water at the same time. Nah, that's bull. I'm sorry. But maybe I'm missing some broken combo, but that seems like a lot to commit to do. Not a lot. You can one-shot a basic EX Pokemon. Best case scenario. nah, that's bulk. Wash Rotom. Wash Cycle, costing a water energy to heal 10 damage from each of your Pokemon. You're not running it for that attack, you're running it for Gadget Show, which is also a multiplier of 30 for every tool attached to your Pokemon in play, and giving you another weakness cover. Yeah, I like that. That's actually kind of sick. Yeah, Rotom, keen. Very keen for it. There's potential rogue shenanigans in there. We're getting a new Arrokuda. Reckless Charge doing 30 damage for 1 water energy, also does 10 damage to itself. Evolves up into Barraskewda doing 40 damage for 1 water energy, or 60 damage, and flip a coin if it's heads during your opponent's next turn. Prevent all effects of attacks, including damage done to this Pokemon. It's 2 water energy, so you're manually attaching over 2 turns, or maybe Baxcalibur to charge this up. I guess technically Crispin could get you there too, but it's kind of awkward because you want 2 water energy, and it's like grabs you water, grabs you what, dark energy, and then you manually attach another. No, it's probably Baxcalibur manually attaching over 2 turns. If we had a way to guarantee coin flips, there's potential here, but at the same point, your opponent just gusts around you and it's something off your bench that's not invincible, and then you're banking on a coin flip again the next turn. Maybe for pre-release, that's about it though. Other than that, probably just bulk. Setlist showing up here. It's got the attack Gentle Slap for a water and a colorless, do 30 damage, or Frost Smash for triple water and a colorless, Eggity. Evolves up into Titan EX with the ability Snow Cover. Whenever your opponent plays an item or supporter card from their hand, prevent all effects of that card done to this Pokemon. So if they're trying to like gush this into the active with boss's orders, you go, no, I'm good. Or if they're playing like Crushing Hammer, trying to remove energy from this, you go, nah, I'm all right too. So interesting ability. The attack on here, Crush Press, does 140 base damage for triple water and a colorless, and you're gonna discard a stadium card in play to do another 140. So it gets up to 280. Maximum belt on this gets you up to 330. You can one-shot a Charizard EX with this, Dragapult EX with this. 10 damage shy of taking out a Mamswine, but there's ways to manipulate that. So yeah, honestly, not bad. I don't hate it. Have to run it with Baxcalibur to get it online, and Arita's rotated, so a little bit awkward, but there's potential. Yeah, we can cook with that. Maybe it's rogue shenanigans. Team Rocket also getting a Zapdos. So they have Moltres, Articuno, and of course they're bringing it home with all 3 of the Kanto birds. The attack on here, Jamming Wing, does 30 base damage. Then you can move an energy from your opponent's active Pokemon to one of their bench Pokemon. A little bit of disruption. You're not doing massive damage, but you can be paying for that attack with just 1 Team Rocket's energy. Not bad. The second attack, casting a Lightning double Colorless. And similar to Articuno, 60 base damage, then 60 more if it has a Team Rocket energy attached. So 120, you can get through EX walls. Maybe you're hitting relevant weakness into something, like you can one-shot a Squawkabilly with this, I guess. So, yeah, there's potential for it for sure. Team Rocket also getting a Mareep line. So it has the attack Provision, search your deck for an item card, reveal it, put it into your hand. Alright, not bad. Decent little setup if you need it. Evolves into Flaffy, which you're likely rare candying over, but Lightning and a Colorless energy do 50 damage, flip a coin. If heads, your opponent's active Pokemon is now paralyzed, so it could buy you a little bit of time in a pinch. They can just switch or evolve through that though. And then that's going to evolve into Team Rocket's Ampharos. It has the ability Darkest Impulse. When your opponent plays a Pokemon from their hand to evolve one of their Pokemon, they're going to put 4 damage counters on that. The effect of Darkest Impulse doesn't stack though, so it's not like you could have 4 of these in play and be like, hey, you evolve that thing, I do 160 damage to you. As that would just be silly. But 40 damage, it could fix up some numbers for you potentially. You just have this sitting on your bench, like maybe as a 1-1 evolution line if you're already running rare candies to kind of help fix up some numbers. It's got potential. Like I'd say if you pull these from packs, hang on to them. If they're like 50-cent singles when they come out in Destined Rivals, pick them up. I don't really see there being like a deck entirely built around this though, because it doesn't stack. Team Rocket's Drowsy showing up here as well. Has Hypnotic Ray, Psychic Energy, 10 damage, your opponent's Pokemon is now asleep. Yeah, a little bit cheeky. And evolves into Hypno with Psyshot, 40 base damage for a Psychic Energy, or you can have 3 Psychic Energy to use Bench Manipulation, which does a multiplier of 80. Your opponent's going to flip a coin for each of their bench Pokemon. Attack does 80 damage for each Tails. Don't apply weakness and resistance for the stack's damage though. So it's like, hey, if they have a bunch of pre-evolutions on their bench, yeah, you're basically just like, hey, flip a coin. Maybe it lives, maybe it's knocked out. You're basically Two-Face from Batman. I like that. Like for formats like GLC, potentially you're getting a board wipe for something like budget build battles as well. Yeah, a little bit cheeky. For standard format, I don't know, kind of mixed on it. Also, because it's doing 80 damage to the bench, yeah, if you're taking out pre-evolutions that are non-rule boxes, like Shaman would technically block that damage. It's like coin flip, and then also do they not have that thing in play? I don't know, mixed on it, but like really funny. Like it'd be a silly deck to run. I don't think it would be a good deck, but it'd be a silly deck. Team Rocket also having Mewtwo EX. So this is kind of the headliner of the set. It's on the booster pack artwork, and I want this card to be good. I really want this card to be good. So the ability on here, Power Saver, makes it so this Pokemon can't attack unless you have 4 or more Team Rocket Pokemon in play. So it would be counting itself, and then it's like 3 other things, which is a little bit awkward. Does mean you have to fully go in on like the Team Rocket shenanigans, but like, hey, you could have the Ampharos in play to fix up some numbers for you. You can have the Spidopsis to accelerate energy onto your bench, which is also going to pair very nicely with the attack on here, Deletion Sphere. Does 160 base damage, then you may discard up to 2 energy from your bench Pokemon to do 60 more damage for each energy discarded this way. So 160 plus potentially 120 gets you up to 280. Max Belt on here gets you to 330, which is a nice number to hit. Or if you have that Ampharos on your bench, if they're evolving up into a stage 2 EX, which has that 300 plus HP, right? Dragapult EX as a prime example. They evolve into that, they take 40 damage. You use this, you do 280. That's perfect math. So there's potential there. It's a lot of setup, but there's potential there. And then you need the Spidopsis in play to have energy, just like re-accelerating to themselves to repeatedly use this attack. It feels like a lot. It's not impossible to get there, but yeah, is this one, like, I'd say it has potential. It has meta potential, but I'm not saying it's top tier out of the gate. Like probably a B tier, B to like A. Yeah, we're doing half ranks here. Team Rocket also bringing a Wobbuffet to the party. So it's got the attack Rocket Mirror, Psychic, and a Colorless Energy. You're going to move all damage counters from one of your bench Team Rocket Pokemon to your opponent's active Pokemon. So it's kind of like, hey, your Mewtwo tanks a hit, just give those counters back to your opponent. Effectively healing yourself and maybe taking a knockout with it. It's pretty big. Team Rocket also getting a Chingling, no energy to use the attack, so is Chingling a baby Pokemon? It's looking like it's a baby Pokemon. I thought it was just a normal basic, but yeah, I think it's baby. So 30 HP, free retreat, free attack. Yeah, that's baby Pokemon. Ringing noise is going to discard a random card from your opponent's hand. A little bit of disruption, okay. Team Rocket also getting a Mimikyu, Psychic and a Colorless. You're going to choose an attack of one of your opponent's active terrestrialized Pokemon and use the effect of it as this attack. That's cool. So like if you're into Charizard, right, as the game progresses, their attack gets stronger. Maybe they've taken a bunch of prizes. It's like, well, I'm going to go into a single prizer that can do a big number to you. Thank you. You could also be copying Dragapult, which is pretty cool. You could be copying Terrapagos. Yeah, there's some cheeky stuff you could be doing with Mimikyu. I like it. Team Rocket getting the Dottler. So this is what's evolving from the Blipbug. Earlier I said what? The Tarantula. And I was like, nope. And am I going to edit that out? Probably not. I'm trying to do this all in one take. But Dottler having the attack, Flutter, Radar, 1 colorless energy. You're going to look at the top 5 cards of your opponent's deck and then put them back in any order. So just kind of disrupting them a little bit or knowing what they're top decking into, I guess. It's all right. If your opponent's having a bad time, you can just be like, oh, hey, you were going to draw Professor's Research, but now you're just getting an energy. Great. And it's going to evolve up into Orbeetle. The ability on here, Rocket Brain, makes it so as often as you like during your turn, you can move a damage counter from one of your Team Rocket Pokemon to another one of your Pokemon. I like that. Could pair very nicely with Wobbuffet, right? Like your active tanks a really big hit. You move that damage to something on the bench and then Wobbuffet into the active, throw it all at them. Or just like if you're playing against Spread, they're trying to chip damage into a bunch of things. You just put it all into one thing, Wobbuffet, hand it back off. Or just potentially knock out one of your Pokemon, like just overcommit damage. Be like, yeah, that thing's taken out, but the rest of my board's safe. So yeah, cool. We're getting a Mankey line in here. Wild Kick for 1 fighting energy, doing 30 damage. You're going to flip a coin, then if it's tails, well, the attack does nothing. So, maybe you're doing a decent hit and taking out a buddy, or maybe nothing's happening. It's going to evolve up into Primeape, having drag off 1 fighting energy to switch in your opponent's bench Pokemon into the active, then do 30 damage to the new active Pokemon. Could be disrupting them while also setting up a knockout. Then it's going to evolve up into Annihilate, who has the ability Vessel of Rage. If this Pokemon has 2 or more damage counters on it, attacks used by it do 120 more damage. The attack on here, Impact Blow, doing 160, means if it's got 2 damage counters on it, doing 280 on a single prize Pokemon. Not too shabby. 2 fighting energy to use it though, does make it a little bit awkward to charge up, but there's ways to make it work, so yeah, keen to give it a go. Unfortunately, support cards like Grant have rotated, so it's not like you can go 280 into 310, do some decent numbers. You will have to be using something like Max Belt to get you up to that 330. So, yeah. Interesting card, definitely keen to play around with it. I feel like it would pair nicely with something like Monkey Dory, like you're kind of just, you're hurting yourself but handing off a bit to fix up numbers. Single prize shenanigans, 100% is there. Team Rocket getting a Larvitar line as well, so the attack on here, Mountain Munch, doing 10 damage, then discarding the top card of your opponent's deck, evolves up into Pupitar, which has a Explosive Awakening, doing 30 damage to the active, then searching your deck for a card that evolves from this, and evolving up into it. Not bad. Ascension that does damage. Yeah, can't argue with that. Especially because you could do something like Salvatore, right? Like you're evolving into a Pokemon that doesn't have an ability, so your first turn going second, you could Salvatore, Larvitar into Pupitar. Use Pupitar's attack, you hit the active, and then you're evolved up. So yeah, that's kind of spicy. The ability on here, Sandstream, is going to make it so as long as this is in the active, you're putting 2 damage counters on each of your opponent's basic Pokemon during Pokemon checkup. That's every turn, right? That's not just your turn to the opponent's turn, that's the opponent's turn back to yours. That's pretty cool. Like you could combine this with something like Frostlass and Monkey Dory to just between turns be putting a lot of pressure on your opponent. I like it. The attack on here, Breakthrough Tackle, does 180 damage. You do discard an energy from your opponent's active Pokemon as well, but needing a fighting and triple colorless, it's a bit of a commitment. I think you're mostly playing this for kind of just like the between turns effect. Like you're stacking this with Frostlass and just like, hey, I'm just going to wear down your board. I like that. Could even be running it with like Devolution TM, right? They evolve up into a stage 2 with a rare candy, or maybe it's just into a stage 1. You go Devo TM, it bounces them back to a basic. Between turns, you're putting 2 damage counters on all of them. And then it's just, yeah, 4 Devo TMs in your deck and just repeating it every single time. I like it. Much cheaper attack to pay for than Breakthrough Tackle too. Nosepass getting a new card. Skipping over that, it does 20 damage for an energy and it evolves into a Pokemon that does 40 damage for an energy. Mountain Drop needing 3 colorless energy to do 70 damage, then if a stadium's in play, it does 70 more. 140 situationally for 3 energy. That's bulk bin right there. Metatite getting a new card, Steady Punch doing 10 damage, then you're going to flip a coin. If it's heads, it does 20 more. It's alright, you're mainly using it as a pre-evolution. It has 70 HP, so you can get it with Buddy Poffin, and it's outside of range of Dragapult, taking it out off the bench, so can't argue at that. But the Medicham is going to use Harmonious Disposition. It has 50 base damage for 1 fighting energy, and if this Pokemon and your opponent's active Pokemon have the same amount of energy attached, 120 more, so maybe 170. I don't hate that. Like for GLC, for budget build battles, for pre-release, it's fine. For standard, probably going in the bulk bin, but it's a cool Pokemon. Regirock getting a new EX card, like that. Regicharge is going to attach 2 basic fighting energy cards from your discard pile to this Pokemon. Good way to charge it up, to use the second attack, just needing an attachment per turn on the following turn, doing 140 base damage. Then if your opponent's active Pokemon is a stage 2, 140 more. So it gets you up to 280, max belt gets you to 330. Good number to hit. A little bit awkward to charge it up, but potentially there's playability there, right? It's a basic Pokemon. You can check a Bravery Charm on here, gets you up to 280. You can Penny Loop it. Charging it up is a little bit awkward though. You're probably playing it with Blaziken, or because it is just colorless energy for the attack, you could technically run it with like Baxcalibur as a way to get it online, so there's potential. Some more Team Rocket Pokemon. We're seeing Ekans, of course, right? In the anime, Ekans and Coughing, right? Arbok and Weezing. Kind of the go-to of Jesse and James. Unfortunately, they didn't make it into the set, but their Pokemon did. So, Hold Back is costing just 1 colorless energy. You're flipping a coin. If it's heads, your opponent's active Pokemon is now paralyzed. Buys you a little bit of time. Can't argue at that. And when it evolves up into Arbok, it gets a really interesting ability in Intimidating Glare. This Pokemon's in the active spot. Your opponents can't play any Pokemon cards with abilities from their hand. It's spicy, right? They're trying to rare candy into a Charizard. Do it. They're trying to just bench something as an ability? No can do. Maybe they're running Bouffalant with a Terrapagos. Nope. Or Noctowls. And nope. They'd have to gust around you. The second attack on here is costing triple dark energy. We have Team Rocket's energy, which counts as double dark or double psychic situationally. So great way to get that online, or maybe even running this with something like Janine to accelerate dark energy from your deck to get it online, right? Janine and then Rocket energy. You're good to go. The attack's going to do 30 damage to each of your opponent's Pokemon. So it's spread damage, and if their Pokemon are basics that evolve into things with abilities, they're having a bad time. Team Rocket's also getting a Nidoran. So this is Nidoran female. Surprise attack, doing 30 damage for a dark energy. You flip a coin. If it's tails, it does nothing. So similar to that Mankey we saw earlier. Evolves into Nidorina, Dark Awakening for 1 dark energy. Choose up to 2 of your dark Pokemon. For each of those Pokemon, search your deck for a card that evolves from them and put it onto that Pokemon to evolve. So like Evo TM as an attack right on it. So it's okay and very limited in the type that it's going for, but yeah, it's fine. Team Rocket's Nidoqueen, though, has the attack Love Impact. It does 60 base damage. Then if any benched Pokemon with Nidoking in its name, 120 more. So it gets up to 180 for 1 dark energy. Not bad, especially for a single prize Pokemon. I can get behind it. Team Rocket's Nidoran male, though, it's doing 10 damage for 1 dark energy or 30 damage for a dark and a colorless, but you're not flipping any coins, just direct damage. Volbound, apologies. Gonna get a little bit of water. We've been talking for a bit. Evolving up into Nidorino, though, you get Hammer In, so dark colorless, 30 base damage. Double dark and a colorless Horned Gouge is going to do 60 base damage. Then if your opponent's active Pokemon already has any damage counters on it, 60 more. Mixed feelings on that. So 120 for 3 energy. That's a lot. And then it's going to evolve up into Nidoqueen. I was about to say Nidoqueen. That's got my tongue. Nidoking EX. Dirty Horns costing a double dark and a colorless, so rocket energy and something else on here. They do 100 damage, then your opponent's active Pokemon is now poisoned. During Pokemon checkup, though, you're going to put 8 damage counters on that Pokemon instead of 1. So effectively 180 if you have something like Hurlius Jungle in play, boosting that damage up even further. So yeah, not bad. You're 2-shotting into other stage 2 EXs. You're not 1-shotting basic EXs though, so like it's kind of awkward. Maximum Belt does help you fix that up a little bit though, so it's playable. I wouldn't say it's necessarily competitive, but it's is playable. Second attack on there though, 240 for triple dark and a colorless. You're mainly running it for the first attack. Team Rocket Zubat, I really like this evolution line. So we did get this revealed a few days ago. It's got the attack Poison Spray. Your opponent's active Pokemon is now poisoned. That's fine. But evolves up into Golbat with the ability Sneaky Bite. When you evolve into this Pokemon, when you play it from your hand to evolve, it puts 2 damage counters on one of your opponent's Pokemon, so a little bit of pings, like it. And then when you evolve it into the Crobat, you have that ability but scaled up. So instead of doing 20 to one thing, you're doing 20 to 2 things. The attack on here, Assassin's Return, does 120 base damage. Then you put this Pokemon into your hand. You discard all attached cards to it though, so if you're using Rocket Energy to pay for that attack cost, you're unfortunately losing it. You do need probably a better way to accelerate energy out onto this. Maybe it's just Spidops getting energy back, attach for turn onto a Crobat, switch it onto the Crobat, kind of keep that going. But the fact that you can be putting out pings with the Golbat, then the Crobat, and then just like bouncing the Crobat into your hand, pretty cool. And the fact that it says you may put this card into your hand is also pretty big. So it's like, if you know, hey, I hit my opponent, I haven't taken any damage, I'm going to survive a hit they do, right? If they hit you with Drag Bolt, it's doing 200, you can tank that. And then you hit them again and you bounce. That's pretty cool. I like it. I really like that, actually. Not to mention, we do have that Dottler line. Dottler's not the final evolution of it. Orbeetle, that can move damage counters from your Rocket Pokemon onto another Rocket Pokemon. So maybe it's just put all the damage from your guys onto the Crobat and then bounce it back into your hand to just kind of like clean your board of damage counters. That could be a really cool play as well. Team Rocket getting a Grimer in here. So Dark and a Colorless Energy, Corrosive Sludge. At the end of your opponent's next turn, discard the defending Pokemon and all cards attached to it. You're not knocking them out, so you're not getting any prizes, but you are really disrupting their game state, so yeah. That's frustrating. And then it's evolving up into Muck with Sticky Mess. Dark and a Colorless to do 40 damage. Your opponent's active Pokemon is now confused. During your opponent's next turn, that Pokemon can't retreat. So they have to dedicate a switch card or evolve through that condition, or they're flipping a coin to see if they hit you. The second attack on here, needing Double Dark and a Colorless to do a multiplier of 100. Attack does 100 damage for each special condition. Each special condition affecting your opponent's active Pokemon. You can be stacking what? Burn, Poison, and then Confusion. Potentially you're doing 300 in one shot. A lot of energy to use that attack though. We used to have things like Electrode V that could scale up, I think at the same rate. I think it went up by 100 for each special condition. So the fact that that could do it for 0 energy and this needs 3 energy and is on a stage 1, a little bit like weak, but it is a single prize Pokemon, so that's the trade-off. I don't know, there's potential. Realistically, this is going in the bulk, but you could try and make it work. Team Rocket also getting a Coughing, so they got the Ekans earlier, and this is James's Pokemon being the Coughing line. The ability on here, Alert Smog, makes it so that if this Pokemon's in the active spot and is damaged by an attack from your opponent's Pokemon, even if it gets knocked out, you're going to search your deck for up to 2 Pokemon with Coughing in their name and put them onto your bench. Specifies Coughing in their name, not Team Rocket's Coughing, so you could be getting just regular Coughings onto your board as well. It's pretty cool. The attack on here though, Dark and a Colorless to do 30 damage. It's alright, you mainly have it in the active to just like eat a hit and get more Coughings onto your board. The Wheezing it evolves up into has the attack All Out Explosion, which does a multiplier of 40 for each Pokemon in play with Coughing or Wheezing in its name. That's pretty cool. So that means regular Wheezings, that means Team Rocket's Wheezings, that means Galarian Wheezing. Yeah, you got some stuff to play around with here. So yeah, very, very keen for that. Even for something like GLC, right? Like you have Dark type Coughings, you have Galarian Wheezings, like you could be running this in that format. Wouldn't be doing like heaps of damage because it would be like get Galarian Wheezing out with Zoroark, have a regular Coughing on your bench, have this in the active 120. There's potential, but for standard, like yeah, if you have 4 regular Coughing or Wheezing and then 4 regular Team Rocket Coughing or Wheezing, you'd have to have Area 0 Underdepths in play to do that, but 1 Terra Pokemon, that gives you 9 things in play total, so that's 8 Wheezings, and then the Terra Pokemon, and then you're doing what, 8 times 4, 320? One-shotting a Dragon Bolt. I like that. Team Rocket also getting a Murkrow, has the attack Swindle. You're going to search your deck for a supporter card, put it into your hand. It's an alright setup attack to be able to use. Second attack on here, Torment, does 30 damage. You're going to choose one of your opponent's Pokemon's attacks. During their next turn, they can't use that attack. So into something that only has 1 attack, like Dragon Bolt or Charizard, you can just say, you can't do that next turn. It means they have to switch out, which potentially means hard retreating and losing energy that they've accelerated out and sets them back quite a bit, or they're just passing and hoping that you don't hit them with Murkrow again, or they have to be very, very lenient on when they use their switches to get around this. So that's a frustrating card. It's gonna evolve up into nothing. There's not a Honchkrow. We're just getting a Sneasel. I'm not making that mistake again. Fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, still shame on me. But no, didn't happen. The Sneasel though, having the attack Scratch, 20 damage for Dark Energy, or Backstab, double Dark Energy, going to do 20 damage to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon for each damage counter already on that Pokemon. So if you're pairing this with something like Frothoss and Monkey Dory and just putting a bunch of damage counters on your opponent's board, damage on your own for the Monkey Dory, and then handing it off to your opponent, and then just sniping things, that's pretty cool. That's very, very, very cool. We're getting the Fortress though. Did mention it earlier. It's kind of mid. Iron Shake doing 20 damage. You're going to move any number of steel energy from your Pokemon onto your other Pokemon in any way that you'd like. So just kind of manipulates around your board state. Second attack on here, needing a steel triple colorless. You do a multiplier of 80. You're going to flip 4 coins, 80 damage for each head. Bit of a Hail Mary thing. Bit of single prize shenanigans. I don't know. Like if you hit 4 heads, that's what, 320. It's not bad, but like I said, there's no way to guarantee coin flips or reflip them currently. So it's kind of mid. Skarmory showing up here has Roost. You're going to heal 50 damage from this Pokemon. It can't retreat during your next turn though. Interesting, I guess. And the second attack does 60 damage. That's bulk. Zamazenta showing up, having Strong Bash, double Steel, and a Colorless Energy to do 70 damage during your opponent's next turn. If this Pokemon is damaged by an attack, even if it gets knocked out, you're going to put damage counters on the attacking Pokemon equal to the damage done to this Pokemon. So for example, Dragapult and Charizard, mainly Charizard, right? Their damage scales up throughout the game. You just slot this in the active and it's basically like, hey, do you have a Gust card? Because if you don't, I just did 70 to you. If you do, what? 200, come on, math skills, 260 or more, you're going to be knocking yourself out. So it's, yeah, you get a single prize, but I get 2. That's cheeky. I like it. That's definitely a really cool card to play around with. I'd say hang on to it. If you pull this, 100% hang on to it. Team Rocket also getting a Rattata, has the attack Dangerous Bite, 10 damage. Your opponent's active Pokemon is now poisoned, and it evolves up into Raticate, which does 90 damage for a colorless energy. You're going to flip 2 coins. If both are tails, this Pokemon also does 90 damage to itself. That is a bad card, but it exists. Team Rocket also getting a Meowth in the set, having Catnap. You're going to choose a random card from your opponent's hand. Your opponent reveals that card and shuffles it into their deck. Second attack on here, Wild Scratch, does a multiplier of 20. You're going to flip 3 coins, 20 damage for each heads. That's all right. Evolves up into Persian EX though with the attack Hody Orders. Hody Orders? Hody Orders. Has an attack for 2 colorless energy. Your opponent's going to reveal the top 10 cards of their deck. You can choose an attack from a Pokemon you find there and use it as this attack. Your opponent shuffles that and all the revealed cards back into their deck. Be kind of cool if they discarded it, right? Kind of like disrupt your opponent. It's almost like you're knocking out one of their like prime Pokemon, right? Like you find a Dragapult, it's like get that in the bin. Hope you have a way to recover it. I guess the Night Stretcher gets it into their hand, but like, yeah, interesting. So a way to kind of like copycat your opponent's deck. The second attack on here, triple colorless energy to 140 damage. Your opponent's active Pokemon is now confused. Pokemon EX rule though on here, not sure why this is right into the text of that attack. I was reading that like it was part of the attack. It's literally just 140 damage and your opponent's active Pokemon is now confused. So you're running it for the first attack and it's just to be a little bit silly. I don't think it's a competitive deck, but it's kind of funny. Kangaskhan also showing up in here, double colorless energy to do 50 damage. Dizzy Punch doing a multiplier of 90. You're flipping 2 coins, 90 for each heads. Probably just bulk. Team Rocket also getting a Porygon line in here. This is one of those cards that I feel like someone's going to find a way to make it work. It's not necessarily going to mean it's good, but they're going to find a way to try and make it work. Porygon having Hacking, you discard 1 card from your hand, then your opponent discards a card from their hand. Porygon 2, triple colorless energy, a multiplier of 20, does 20 damage for each supporter card in your discard pile with Team Rocket in its name. That's where it's like, okay, it's a little bit cheeky. Someone's going to try and make this work. And Porygon 2 having that same attack, a little bit more health, and an ability that lets you discard 2 cards from your hand to use it, and then draw a card. So it's like you get supporters in your hand, you discard those, get into another card. get enough supporters in your discard pile, you can do a pretty big number. It's what, 16 to do 320, 17 to do 340. There is a lot of Team Rocket supporters in this set, but like that's a lot of your deck to be giving up. Double colorless energy to use the attack though, so Team Rocket's energy could be getting that online, and then it's just, yeah, just go 2/2/2 into your opponent. Could work. Into single prize decks, you're gonna have a really bad time, but into like 2 prize only, as long as you're taking 1-shots early enough, yeah, there's potential. A new Talo line in here, wing attack doing 20 damage for 1 colorless energy. Swellow, draw 3 cards for colorless energy, or 70 damage for double colorless. And yeah, that's it. I always see that Pokemon and I think it's a stage 2 after it. No, it's just a stage 1. And then Squawkabilly, having push down, does 20 damage. Then you switch, your opponent switches their active Pokemon to the bench. It's alright, a little bit disruptive. Squawkabilly EX, really good. This, Hulk. And we're into the trainer cards here. So Team Rocket's getting a lot of support here. And apologies guys, I'm probably gonna speed up a little bit. I'm going live on Twitch in about, well, 10 minutes. So we'll see if we can bang this out real quick. Team Rocket's Intruder Robot, you're going to choose one of your opponent's face down prize cards and a random card in their hand. Your opponent reveals both those cards, then you switch them if you want. So it's like, hey, that card in your hand's really good. That card in your prizes, really bad. Now that really good card's in your prizes. Have fun. Like, you see a rare candy and you're like, no, I don't want you having that. Put it in the prizes. Yeah, they're going to have a bad time. Team Rocket also getting their own Great Ball. You're going to flip a coin. If it's heads, you search your deck for evolution Pokemon, well, Team Rocket evolution Pokemon. If it's tails, you search your deck for a basic Team Rocket Pokemon. So it's basically capturing Aroma. It's not really Great Ball, right? Great Ball, look at the top 7. Capturing Aroma, do that effect. It's just, hey, they have to have Team Rocket in their name to use this now. So yeah, really interesting card. Team Rocket getting Venture Bomb. You flip a coin. If it's heads, put 2 damage counters on one of your opponent's Pokemon. If it's tails, you're putting 2 damage counters on your active Pokemon instead. So as long as you're running something like Monkey Dory, even if you're taking that damage, it's kind of whatever, you just hand it off to them. Or maybe you actually want your guy to be damaged, like you're running that Annihilate, then you get stronger. Yeah, cheeky bit of potential there for sure. Team Rocket also getting a Receiver. You're going to search your deck for a supporter card with Rocket in its name, put it into your hand, so that's kind of sick. It's basically Luminion, but as an item card. Limited in the supporters that it targets, but still pretty crazy. Team Rocket's supporters though, we're getting Ariana. You're going to draw cards till you have 5 in your hand. If all of your Pokemon in play are Rocket Pokemon though, you're drawing till you have 8. Kind of busted. Archer's in here as well. You can only play this card if one of your Rocket Pokemon were knocked out during your opponent's last turn. Each player shuffles their hand into their deck. You're going to draw 5, your opponent's going to draw 3. So kind of like a slightly weaker Roxanne. But yeah, kind of cracked. Team Rocket's also getting Giovanni, being the leader of the team. Of course, he's showing up here. So you're going to be running Boss's Orders that has his artwork, of course. And then you're going to be running just straight up Giovanni. You can switch your active Rocket Pokemon with one of your bench Rocket Pokemon. Then if you do, you can switch one of your opponent's bench Pokemon with one of their active Pokemon. So it's Kuzma. So you know that thing I just said about Boss's Orders with Giovanni? Yeah, no, it's fully getting replaced with this if you're running a Team Rocket. Team Rocket's also getting Petrol. You're going to search your deck for a trainer card, reveal it, put it into your hand. So it's basically a reprint of Skyla. It has Rocket in its name though, so it scales up damage for Porygon, I think is the reason they printed it this way, but it's interesting. I don't know, I feel like it'll be very niche, probably not see a lot of play. Skyla got reprinted a while ago, nobody played it while it was in rotation. I'm pretty sure it's out of rotation already, and I don't think it got any showing in competitive play, but maybe Petrol will be different. They're also getting Proton. If you go first, you can play this card during your first turn, and it lets you search your deck for 3 basic Team Rocket Pokemon and put them into your hand. You don't even have to put them in play, so it's a great way to thin your deck. It's a great way to set up your board. Pretty solid card. Team Rocket also getting a Stadium card. Well, actually 2 Stadium cards. Also, apologies. Yeah, I need a quick water break, guys. Oh, a lot more cards in this set than I realized. I know I said at the beginning there's like 90, whatever, but when you're reading them out one after the other, yeah, cheers. So you've got Team Rocket's Watchtower. Both players' colorless Pokemon in play have no abilities. So you're shutting down Noctowl. You're shutting down Dunsparce. You're shutting down Squawkabilly, Bouffalant, Dodrio. You're hitting some pretty cool stuff. And then the other Stadium they're getting is making it so once during either player's turn, if that player has played a supporter with Team Rocket in its name, you can draw 2 cards. That's a little bit silly. You can be running that supporter that sets up your bench, and then immediately after, drawing 2 cards. First turn of the game going first. And then, of course, Team Rocket getting their energy. We have talked about it before, counting as either 2 dark or 2 psychic energy, or just 2 energy in general for those colorless attacks. Yeah, pretty spicy. Pretty spicy. And then there is the secret rare cards in here, having some amazing artwork. We're getting Clampearl, we're getting Team Rocket's Wobbuffet, which he's pretty cheeky looking. Orbeetle's in here. Zamazenta getting a spectacular art in here. Honestly, I want to pick one of those up. I think that's a really cool card to have a one-off. Meowth in there, and then Moltres EX. There is going to be more secret rare cards, obviously revealed as the set releases. We haven't seen every single one of them, but yeah, when the set drops, people will be posting pictures. You'll get more access to see that. And it's kind of nice not having it all spoiled. But yeah, what do you think of the Team Rocket set? Do you think it's going to impact the meta? There's definitely a few decks coming out of the set where I'm like, keep my eyes on those. There's some rogue shenanigans coming out of it. And Mewtwo, I want it to be good. I feel like it's got potential, but it's gonna need some work. That's just my thoughts, so maybe I'm missing something and you've seen some crazy combo in there we've overlooked. Let me know in the comments down below if you have, and until next time, stay golden, you Goombas.